The numbers don't lie. 500 to 1. That's not a game of chance. That's a verdict. That's the world saying, don't bother. And then they played anyway. 4 times in World Cup history, a nation stepped onto that pitch and faced something bigger than an opponent. They faced a number, a ranking, a reputation built over decades. And 4 times they dismantled it, in front of the whole world. No budget, no history, no chance. This is what happened. Belo Horizonte, Brazil. June 29, 1950. England had never played in a World Cup before. Not because they weren't ready, but because they didn't think they needed to. The Football Association had boycotted the tournament for years, convinced that England had nothing to prove to the rest of the world. They invented the game after all. When they finally arrived in Brazil in 1950, the press back home didn't hide its confidence. The expectation wasn't whether England would win matches. The expectation was whether England would win the whole thing. Their opponents in that group stage fixture were the United States. Let that settle for a moment. The Americans were listed at 500 to 1. Outsiders not just to win the match, but to win the entire tournament. The squad was assembled from part-timers, a school teacher, a man who drove a hearse for a living, postal workers, a dishwasher. They had trained together once before boarding a plane to South America. There was a single American journalist present at the match that day. The Estadio Independencia held just over 10,000 people. It was not a grand stage. England controlled the first 12 minutes, 6 shots, no goal, and then, in the 38th minute, a long ball from Walter Barr reached the 6-yard box, and Joe Gaetjens dived forward and diverted it with his head. 1-0. United States. What followed was something the sport had never quite seen before. England pressed, dominated possession, hit the frame. Nothing went in. The final whistle sounded with the score unchanged. The greatest footballing nation on earth had been beaten by part-time amateurs on a Tuesday afternoon in Brazil. The result was so extraordinary that, and this is the thing, some editors back in Britain reportedly refused to believe the cable they received. The story goes that a few assumed it was a misprint. 10-0 to England, they thought. A 1 had to be a 10. It wasn't. England went home from the group stage. America celebrated in near silence. There was almost no coverage back home. A shock that shook the world, and barely a ripple reached the country that caused it. Middlesbrough, England, July 19, 1966. Italy came to the tournament as 2-time world champions. The years 1934 and 1938 had both ended with the same result: Italy's name on the trophy. They were not merely favourites, they were fixtures of football royalty. Their opponents in the group stage were North Korea. North Korea had qualified for their first ever World Cup. The world knew almost nothing about them. Their squad was drawn from military clubs and domestic football, an entire nation's football programme that had existed, for most of the watching world, entirely off the map. 18,000 people turned up at Ayresome Park, a modest ground in the north of England, mostly to watch Italy confirm what everyone already expected. What nobody expected was that Italy's midfield anchor, Giacomo Bulgarelli, would be forced from the field injured after just 34 minutes, and that in 1966 there were no substitutions. None. Italy would play the rest of the match with 10 men. 8 minutes later, a North Korean forward named Pak Do-ik received the ball inside the box, turned, and finished past the Italian goalkeeper Albertosi. 1-0. North Korea. Italy pressed, North Korea defended. The clock ran, the whistle sounded. Italy, 2-time world champions, were eliminated in the group stage by a country most of the world couldn't have located on a map a week earlier. Pak Do-ik was not a dentist. As the Italian press sometimes claimed in later years, he was a corporal in the army. But perhaps that detail mattered less than what it revealed. Italy needed a story to explain the inexplicable. They needed him to be an amateur, a mistake, an accident. He wasn't. What happened next made it stranger still. North Korea reached the quarter-finals. They led Portugal, with Eusebio, perhaps the finest player on earth that summer, 3-0 at the 25th minute. They ultimately lost 5-3. Eusebio scored 4. But those first 25 minutes, that impossible lead, that was something else entirely. Italy, meanwhile, flew home to Genoa. Fans were waiting at the airport. They arrived with tomatoes. Seoul, May 31st, 2002. France arrived at the 2002 World Cup, carrying 2 trophies at once. They were the reigning world champions. 1998, their own soil, a nation celebrating in the streets. And they were the reigning European champions. 2000, a golden goal final in Rotterdam. FIFA had ranked them number 1 on Earth, reigning champions of the world and of their continent at the very same time. Their opening match of the tournament was also the opening match of the entire tournament. The world was watching. Their opponents, Senegal, competing in their first ever World Cup. Senegal's squad was not unknown. Many of their players competed in France's own Ligue 1. But internationally, they were debutants. Their coach, Bruno Metsu, had been in charge for less than 2 years. The players were relatively young. The occasion was entirely new to them. In the 30th minute, a low cross from El Hadji Diouf found the foot of Papa Bouba Diop, who bundled it over the line. 1-0 Senegal. And then Diop ran to the corner flag, laid his shirt on the ground, and danced around it, his teammates joining him one by one, in a moment of pure, unguarded joy that has outlived the match itself. France, without Zinedine Zidane, injured, absent from this game, could not find an equalizer. They could not find a goal at all. They would go on to play 3 matches in that tournament. They scored 0 goals. The most decorated team on the planet, reigning world and European champions, went home from the group stage without putting the ball in the net. Not once. Over 62,000 people inside the stadium in Seoul witnessed it. The world watched the number 1 team in football go silent. Papa Bouba Diop passed away in November 2020. He was 42 years old. But that shirt on the ground, that dance, those endure. Senegal reached the quarter-finals. France flew home. Lusail, Qatar. November 22nd, 2022. To understand what happened that afternoon, you have to understand what Argentina had built. They had gone 36 matches without losing. Not a rough patch, not a fortunate run. 36 consecutive matches across 3 years against the best teams in the world. The second longest unbeaten run in international football history, behind only Italy's 37. They had won the Copa America in 2021, ending a 28-year wait. Their captain, Lionel Messi, was widely understood to be playing in what was likely his final World Cup. Argentina were co-favorites to win the entire tournament. FIFA ranked them 3rd in the world. Their opponents in the opening group match were Saudi Arabia, ranked 51st. Saudi Arabia had never beaten Argentina, not once in any competitive or friendly meeting. Argentina took the lead from a Messi penalty in the 10th minute. And then, and this is the part that defies simple explanation, in the first 45 minutes alone, Argentina had 3 goals disallowed for offside. 3 goals. That counted for nothing. The second half began. Saudi Arabia had set an extreme high defensive line as a pressing trap, and Argentina kept walking into it. In the 48th minute, Saleh Al-Shehri equalized. In the 53rd minute, Salem Al-Dawsari received the ball, turned inside, and curled a shot into the far corner past Emiliano Martinez. 2-1. Saudi Arabia. What followed was 40 minutes of mounting pressure, added time, last-ditch defending, and then the final whistle. Saudi Arabia held. The 36-match streak was over. A national holiday was declared. The images from Riyadh that night, the streets, the lights, the disbelief, became one of the defining images of the entire tournament. Argentina, of course, recovered. They won the tournament. They beat France in one of the greatest finals ever played on penalties in the same stadium where they'd been shocked weeks earlier. Messi lifted the trophy. The story ended where it was supposed to. But that afternoon in November, that remained. 4 matches, 4 countries, 4 moments that refused to follow the script. Here is what I think these stories share. And it's not what you'd expect. It wasn't chaos. It wasn't luck, not entirely. It was preparation for a moment that the favorite didn't believe would come. The favorite arrived with history. The underdog arrived with nothing to lose, and one specific plan. Gaetjens threw himself at a ball because that's what you do when you're a 500-to-1 shot and you see your chance. Park Duick had one moment of space in an Italian box he'd never played in before, and he took it. Diop found a yard of space in the most watched match on earth and didn't flinch. Al-Dawsari had practiced that turn. He knew exactly what he was going to do with it. The Giants remembered their own trophies. The underdogs only remembered the next minute. And that, across every era, every continent, every lineup, is why these moments never get old, because the score can be won against the world. And sometimes the one wins. If you think there's a World Cup upset missing from this list, the one that belongs here more than any other, tell me below. I'll read everyone. And if you want the full story of one of these moments, just the one, deeper, slower, more detail, let me know which chapter. We'll go there next.